Hello, my name is SPolatidis, and today I will be discussing the behaviourist learning theory and how this is used in the teaching and learning environment. The term behaviourist theory, according to Carlisle, Jordan and Stack 2008, concentrates on behavioural changes which are ingrained in the human condition. Behaviourism in teaching and learning relies on a number of techniques and methods to understand how this can be used to achieve desirable results. Carlisle et al. 2008 suggests that behaviorism is the most influential and generalizable theory of learning that claims a scientific basis, which can therefore be appropriated to a number of situations and learning environments. The scientific influence in this theory further substantiates its importance in understanding human behaviour. I will be discussing a few of the methods that make up the behaviourist theory, with some examples for classroom application. I will then discuss some of the main strengths and limitations that this theory puts forward, and finally I'll conclude with some of my own personal views. Firstly, the behaviourist theory is built on the use of positive and negative reinforcement and how these impact learning. What I find quite interesting is the way that these reinforcers can be used in such a specific way to identify undesirable behaviours and change the thinking behind those who present those behaviours. This can be further explained through differential reinforcement. For example, in order to extinguish the behaviour of students who have been talking during class, the teacher might say, all students who are not talking during class can go and get their lunch first. This isolates the undesirable behaviour of the children who were talking during class. The teacher then must say that now the rest of the students can go and get their lunch. When the misbehaving students go and get their lunch, the teacher is then obliged to positively reinforce the now desired behaviour. This is important to do as Carlisle et al. 2008 states that desired behaviours are rewarded, causing their frequency to increase. Undesired behaviours are punished, causing their frequency to decrease. The notion of catching them while they are being good, according to Duchesne and McMorm 2016, aims to extinguish bad behaviours through differential reinforcement that rely on positive reinforcement of rectified behaviours. Of course, the reinforcer must be appropriate for the student and must take into consideration context, as the larger and more appealing the reinforcer, the faster a response will be learned, according to Carlisle et al. 2008. Next, I'd like to discuss the difference between punishment and negative reinforcement. Now, a good example of this is the no hat, no play rule that is prominent around a lot of primary schools, especially in summertime. The rule states that a child cannot play in the sun if they do not have their hat. A particular child wants to play with their friends out on the football field, so they ignore this rule and go outside without a hat. The teacher tells the child that they can go to the classroom and borrow a spare hat, allowing the child to continue to play outside. However, as a result of disobeying the rule in the first place, the child will have to lose 10 points for their house. This is an example of negative reinforcement, as the child can still go and play outside but has to go and get a hat from the classroom first, and then their house will also lose 10 points. This interaction also includes token economy, where the student is directed to acknowledge their misbehaviour. Woolard 2010 suggests that this is used as a method employed to support and encourage the learner. A punishment in this example would be the teacher sending the student inside and telling them they are not allowed to play outside for the rest of the week, even if they do bring their hat to school. This may decrease the unwanted behaviour, however, the probability of the student changing their behaviour with lasting results is unlikely. One of the major strengths associated with the behaviourist theory is the application of it with children who suffer from disabilities, such as autism. Behavioural learning principles such as ABA, or applied behaviour analysis, are used to change behaviour that is socially important. This learning principle is often successful with children who are placed on the autism spectrum and helps, as Woolard 2010 suggests, in enabling them to make educational and social progress. An interesting limitation I've come across is the potential abuse of mental influence with this theory. Characteristic of this theory is that it is a measurable behavioural outcome of learning, rather than working with knowledge, attitudes, values, and beliefs, Griffin et al. 2003 being a focus. This has been viewed as a limitation. The avoidance of any dissuasion of mental activity, according to Carlisle et al. 2008, is said to be a key issue when discussing the behaviourist theory. Research in favour of this also argues behaviourism gives insufficient weight to contextual factors, such as the social, economic and political conditions, and forces that prominent or constraint action. However, I personally believe that this theory does utilize cognitive and constructive theories within it. Each behaviour is acted as a result of a thought or an antecedent. As such, the student has chosen to convey their emotions through their behaviour. This is a particular strength, I feel, as it encourages teachers to understand that similar behaviours can and do stem for different reasons. Much the same, the consequence for behaviours vary from each student. This argument is furthered by Carlisle et al. 2008, who concludes that although Thorndike does not refer directly to cognition, his studies on trial and error suggest that subjects undertake some level of mental information processing. As such, while there may not be a direct focus on cognition in the behavioural theory, there are elements of internal mental processes that must be acknowledged and considered. To conclude, I believe that the behaviourist theory is a beneficial, adaptable, and concise theory. This theory is based on scientific research and fact as a result of the works of prominent psychological professionals such as Skinner, Watson, and Thorndike. Each of these thinkers created an opportunity for the behaviourist theory to be utilised in a learning environment where behavioural growth and development is paramount. Through this theory, teachers and educators are able to utilise many sub-methods including continuity and association, ABA, consequences which are reinforced and aversive, differential reinforcement, punishment and negative reinforcement, contingency contracts, and to enhance the way students and children learn, understand the implications of their behaviour. Notably, ABA to the behavioural theory has allowed many teachers and schools to understand and better facilitate students with behavioural struggles, and even children diagnosed with autism. As a result, the behavioural theory has also allowed those in the education field to better equip themselves with knowledge and tools necessary to create a balanced and fair learning environment. Thank you.